So I'm a huge fan of physical media and DVDs, Blu-rays, and whatnot. And I love film noirs and private eye films. So this indie was right up my alley. Wondering for both of you personally, I feel like such a dinosaur. Do you guys still have a hankering for DVDs or Blu-rays or movies of old, that kind of sentiment? Or are you trying to get on board with the digital age, streaming, everything's so disposable and it's just a tragic thing? But where do you guys stand on that?
I
I
mean, go ahead, Claire.
oh I like all of it. I still have hundreds of CDs and I collect my record collection is bigger than it's ever been. I still have all of my collector's edition DVDs. I still have all of my favorite VHS tapes from childhood that I'm just never going to let go of. But
Oh,
I also love having them digitally because when I travel, I prefer everything on an iPad. So it's nice to have it all digitally.
Yeah, I can agree. It's hard not to kind of just jump on board with the digital train. It's everywhere we look, and it's just kind of the way the world is today. But I have my album of all of my DVDs that I grew up with, and CDs as well, and still some VHSs too. But yeah, I'm full digital anymore. Even my DVDs. I mean, it really takes me. I have to be kind of in hibernation mode, rainy day to really dive into that collection anymore. Typically, I'm on streaming somewhere or downloads or that sort of game. But I love a good classic. Classics are still like my favorite overall genre, and just because it's labeled a classic doesn't mean that it's 50 years old per se. I mean, The Private Eye has classic written all over it. So yeah, I'm for the digital, but I definitely being of the age where I lived before everything went fully digital. I have a lot of love for that too.
speaking of love, can you guys talk about working on a film where I don't mind movies that are so that four quadrant thing and entertainment stuff with the big budget, but this movie, it really feels it was handmade and tangible and blood, sweat, and tears went into it. It just feels real. Can you guys, I don't know how to put it in better words, but what was it like working on a production that feels like you guys are making the meal in the kitchen, you're setting up the tables, you guys are really a tangible part of the entire process?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, speaking of the love, it's just bringing people together with a similar mindset and vision and just goal. It just kind of flows magically. I mean, a lot of favors went into this and a lot of passion, of course, but really just on set, I mean, it was all about business, but at the same time, there was a sense of lightheartedness that, we knew that we all had each other's backs and we wanted to make this happen, regardless of any tests that were coming our way or any obstacles or hoops or loops that we had to get through. It was really just like a collective of no one was bigger than anybody else, and we were all in it to win it and make sure that we got the best product that we could get with the resources that we had.
And with all those resources, Claire, just playing a character who's very multi-layered and there's just a lot of things beneath the surface, I'm sure that must have been a plum role for you to tackle in this project.
Yeah, it was really fun. I uh I loved plan I feel like my character was in a little bit of two worlds, the fantasy world that Matt Rife's character was living in through the movie, and then the reality, which is my character's, point of view of the movie. And it was fun for me to think about each scene like, okay, well, is this scene a Matt Rife fantasy version of what's going on, or is this scene my character's like more grounded reality version of what was going on? So that was definitely it was fun to think those things through. And and not just like from a character point of view, but also from like a like the detail, like aesthetically, it was, I felt like there were tangible differences between um sort of both realities of the movie.
Well said. I was like, no, I mean that was very well said because it's like that was such a challenge too. I mean, it was a fun challenge, but like Claire said, there's so many different perspectives going on in this film and layers and depths, and it's definitely an actor's piece. And so yeah, it's just it's fun that it was fun to really pull off, and I think it's gonna surprise some people.
So, so I'm older than both of you, so I get both ends of the spectrum, and both of you guys got the chance to work with Matt and Eric. I remember as a teenager watching Runaway Train for the first time and thinking, this Eric Roberts guy back in the 80s, this guy's a bona fide star. I'm sure you guys felt that way growing up, but then you're also I had questions about whether Matt could pull off a lead role, and he seemed to me to be very natural and an upcoming star. So, as collaborators with these two actors, what was it like working with them? And I'm sure it must have been a great kind of feeling seeing someone you grew up with and adored, and seeing someone who's new to the game actually leveling up as well. So,
I can start with this one
Sure.
because I didn't grow up knowing who Eric Roberts was. I never saw Runaway Train. I don't really know him as an actor. So, for me, um, like as I got to be older, this is so embarrassing, but I was like, oh, Julia Roberts has a brother. That's how I found out about him. I found out about him. I was like, and it might have even been his daughter. When I became aware of his daughter, my husband was like, "Oh, that's Eric Roberts' daughter," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" So, and I loved him. He was wonderful, a delight, such a pro to work with. But for me, and working with Matt Rife, I became friends with Matt Rife in like 2014 and had been close to him, like very close friends with him for many years this movie when this movie was being made, and um it was actually Matt who came to me and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie." And I, from knowing Matt all of this time, I already knew how talented he was, and I already knew how much charisma he had. And when he pitched the movie to me, he was so passionate about it. And I saw it on him. And I was honestly like, I was excited to be a part of something that was going to allow him to be the star that I always knew in my heart he was. So, and I also, um, I found that it was absolutely incredible to work with him because our friend chemistry is so great. It's like, when you're working with someone and like the magic is there and like you feel it. I could feel it in the moment that it was translating, that like our real life chemistry was translating on screen the way that it was meant to be in the script. And that feels really good as an actor.
and Elliot, your character David, he's still friends with the LA River, right? Everything's okay with him, and is he not as
Yeah.
I like to think maybe is it part of him a little bit empathetic because he's seen through the lens of different people, but it's sort of good. It's a little bit of it because he's kind of in love or lust. Is there a good part of your character?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's it can go in so many different ways, and I've been asked many times lately to give a description of my character, and there's so many layers to it, and the best thing that I come up with is just I play a spiritual guru who has fallen for Michelle, aka Claire, and through falling for her, I start to make some very questionable decisions, most of which go against my belief system or the person that I'm portraying to be. And so I think there's a lot of sleaziness to my character, which was kind of fun for me because it's not really who I am in real life, but there was also a lot of similarities. I mean, my focus was playing this as just me naturally, but also having to add on these layers to the perspective of working with this crazy man, if you want to call him that, but then also trying to get out and get away, but also having this lust for Michelle holding me back and keeping me kind of in the triangle. And so there was just a lot of mind games and and brain twists that I feel like my character was going through every day, as was Michelle's. And um, and like Claire said too, I mean, working with these talented actors around us. I mean, Matt, this was the second project I worked with him on, and it's not hard to see right from the get-go working with a guy like that. Just his discipline and his passion, and if he commits to something, he's all in. And that was one of my favorite things about this project too, was I had been invested in this for 8 years before we even filmed it. And so, I don't go around shouting that off the top of mountains because, people hear, oh, why did it take so long? Must be low
It
budget or
always
this or
takes that long.
yeah, it always takes that long. Exactly. But when I got to work with Matt for the first time and really got to meet him, when he read the script and committed to it, he took it on as his own. And we rehearsed for a good month before filming. We pulled in friends, we pulled in everything that we thought would make this the best project we could possibly turn it into in terms of quality wise, story wise, actors, everything. We were all on board for that, and then Eric too. He's an OG, and he's just I same as Claire. I mean, so I met Eric in maybe 2016, and we kind of became friends on set before I really knew much of his work. I have since I've gone down the whole Eric Roberts marathon and The Runaway Train, King of the Gypsies, Pope of Greenwich Village, all of these movies that he was just, I mean, he was a movie star. He was the bad boy. He was the pretty boy. He did it all. Nominated for an Oscar, and he's the Dark Knight. So
Are
working
you
with
a biographer? Are you writing something on Eric Roth? You know
no, I'm
everything.
not. I'm just a big fan, but also he's a great friend. He just checked into the hotel too and called me up, and I went and I hung out with him for a little bit, and he just became a really great friend. He's a really great role model. He always has great advice when it comes to just being a young actor. This guy, he made it big when he was 20 years old. So he spent the majority of his life as a celebrity. And so taking notes from someone like that, I just like to just soak it in, watch how he kind of carries himself, and yeah, when he steps on set, everybody knows he's there, and he just is in. He's just ready to work
Oh my
no
God,
matter.
and so nice. So
Oh
nice,
yeah,
so professional, learns people's names, like make sure he's just like incredibly personable with absolutely everyone on set. In any event that we've done, he's the same way. He will walk around and introduce himself to absolutely every single person and make sure they all feel like they had a moment with him, which is awesome.
yeah, and that's hard, especially someone that works as much as him. He's he's in different time zones daily, and I asked him one time because he went from a red eye straight to a set, and then and it was just he'll call me up at 4 in the morning sometimes, not realizing it's 4 in the morning because the time doesn't really exist for him, and I'm like, how do you like stay so like just cheery and happy to be here. And his pretty much answer was just like, well, I've tried the grumpy, I tried being grumpy before, and that doesn't work for anybody, and it just makes your day a lot worse. So while I'm working, you might as well just be pleasant to be around, be happy, and you'll get your rest eventually. So I thought that was pretty cool because part of our industry is a lot of travel, a lot of crazy hours, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, and then two, it's just fun. I mean, you could definitely see Claire and Matt's chemistry on set. Like, you two, it was, and that's something that for me, my character being so involved in both Claire and Matt's characters' lives, seeing your two's chemistry really made me want to bring more and deliver more to the table too, to really kind of up my just acting chops. And then same with Eric and Matt. Those two, they've known each other for years, and so they too were just very playful with each other, and then the dialogue just kind of it just fell out of their mouths, and it was just so just fun how this all came about. And I always just say on set is where the magic happens, and I feel like The Private Eye is a true testament of that.
Final question, a really cool movie, by the way. I really enjoyed this film. Can Two-part question. Can each of you name one of your all-time favorite movies, and what is it about this film that resonates with you? And the second part of that question is, can you name a project from your own resume that you feel is overlooked and underrated that you would like our listeners to watch and why? So, favorite movie and then something from your own that you feel is kind of underrated. Yeah.
Oof, that's a tough one.
I know my answers. I'll go. Okay.
Okay, you
My
go, you go.
favorite movie is Clue. I love that movie. I love everything about that movie. I love that everything is intentional. Every frame, there's like hidden jokes in every single line of dialogue, things that even to this day, when I watch this movie, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I never caught this before. It's amazing. They're like just brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. I love that movie. Um, Probably the most underrated movie I did was a movie that my husband directed called Changeland. I thought it was very beautiful. It was a movie about friendship and like dude friendship, and sweet. So a surprisingly like sweet and sentimental movie from like the creator of Robot Chicken, like not at all what you'd think from him. And I think that's why it was so surprising. Like it was surprising, but it's beautiful, beautiful messaging, beautiful movie. And
Shot on location? Because I'm part-Thai. Was that shot on location? And it's
I
streaming on Prime Video. I saw the trailer. It looks fantastic. So,
Yeah, it was. We were in Thailand for 2 months. We were the first movie that shot there that had the Thai movie. They called it movie scheme or something like that. But like where we got tax credits in Thailand, and I mean, we shot with an all Thai crew, and just it was just like I fell in love with the people. Like I wish people bowed to each other when they see each other all the time. That's like such a beautiful way to represent like another human being in your presence. Like I loved it. I loved everything about it.
cool.
Good answers. For me, my favorite movies change a lot, but two that I can always go back to, I would say, are I'm going to get a little romantic here, but The Notebook, and then also Shutter Island. I think that those two, because there's a lot of just it's very deep. The love story is there, the heart melting moments, especially in The Notebook, but even in Shutter Island. But then just I like the ones that really make you dive deep into the brain and think. And some of those you can't even really try to even figure out what's going on until you watch it all, and then you have to spend days processing it. And I feel like that's how Shutter Island was. Whereas The Notebook was just like just like a love story for the ages, and it's funny because I feel like both of those movies are kind of in a lot of ways related to The Private Eye too. It's there's the mental health aspect, there's the psychological mystery aspect, but then there's also the romance, and of course the small little perfect doses of comedy too. And there's really, you can label it mystery, romance, whatever you want to label it, but the genres are across the board. Um, and then a movie I've worked on. So for me, I'm still getting into like my first movies. But I've done a few over the past few years now, and the one that I'll shout out. It's not out for everyone to see just yet, but it's close. Is called The Perfectionist Hairstylist, and that one it's about a serial killer, and it's crazy. Like they get really detailed with every murder being different and my character in it kind of was one that I don't want to say held the story together, but definitely played a big part in the drive of the serial killer. And so for that one, I would suggest everyone go watch it. It's real like kind of grungy and grimy, but it's just it's a got cult classic written all over it.
Thank you guys so much for your time again. I really enjoyed The Private Eye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun at the premiere. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. And
Okay.
February 9th, The Private Eye.